Some magic? Do it. Did I do that? Did I do that?
What's up, guys? Spenny. The pipe bomber narrative has been blown sky high. The doors are off, the hinges are gone, and nobody knows what the hell is happening. We truly hope that we're going to learn more, because it seems like we are now subject to an op officially, because Brian Cole, who confessed, according to all available reports, the FBI said he was the pipe bomber after the FBI dropped an affidavit that said, hey, listen, like, this guy's cell pings tracked perfectly with the path of the pipe bomber that we can track on camera. We have his license plate number. We have all of the receipts. We have videos. We have an enormous amount of evidence of him being the bomber. He confesses, and then, according to left-wing media, he's a Trump supporter. Autistic young black man who's 25 years old, living in Virginia, who clearly has a Democrat activist family that sued Donald Trump, works to free criminal aliens and, attack ICE agents. Effectively, that's the family business. That guy's a Trump supporter. That guy's so angry about the Stop the Steal that he would go and plant bombs in the pathway of the actual Stop the Steal rally. None of it makes sense. It doesn't pass the smell test. Something's fishy here. So, I don't know, man. I don't know. Well, we went with this, and we were very skeptical when we recorded this information. You can see it reported here. I mean, listen, I do believe that he confessed, but what is this reporting out? According to, of course, unnamed sources, that he is a Trump supporter. What we heard was he had extremist views, and it seems like he would have left-wing views. And now, well, ladies and gentlemen, we have this confirmed. January 6th pipe bomb suspect is an autistic recluse and computer nerd who's also not a Trump supporter, according to his family. Got it. Well, that didn't last long. Here we go. A 30-year-old Virginia man accused of planting pipe bombs near Capitol Hill is an autistic recluse computer nerd who has no party affiliation, his grandmother told the Daily Mail. Brian Cole confessed that and told the FBI interrogators that he is a Trump supporter and holds anarchist views. Well, that's contradictory, right? So he's a Trump supporter. First off, like, what do you know about Trump supporters? Like, is it really hard to spot the Trump supporters? Is this your average Trump supporter, like, guy, addicted to online gaming, chats, anime, living in his mother's basement? Does this actually make up sort of the archetype of the Trump supporter? No. And Trump supporters are not hard to spot. Trump supporters are not shy about their Trump support. They're very proud of it. Very few secret Trump supporters, right? Loretta, his grandmother, says Cole has no party affiliation and never votes. Rather, he keeps to himself, living in his mother's basement, where he's been grieving the loss of his beloved pet Chihuahua while working a data entry job for his family bail bonds business. He's not politically affiliated at all, says his grandmother during an interview in the home in Gainesville, Virginia. He has no social media contacts. He's never online going back and forth on politics or anything like that. He says he doesn't like either party. He's borderline autistic, she says. He's slow. He may be 30, but he's got the mind of a 16-year-old. That's why we're all thinking, what the hell? What the hell is going on? Me too. Me and Grandma think of the same thing. She said that the FBI agent swooped in and searched the southern outskirts of Washington, D.C. in their house. He confessed, I guess. She said her son, Brian Cole Sr., had a message passed on to her son at the arraignment. It's very strange. We were told the main thing is he was very upset about it and that he was disappointed in us that he got locked up, the grandmother said to the Daily Mail. We told him we weren't out here. We were going to make sure that everything's taken care of. We're terrified. They say that they've got all this evidence. Whatever happened, we've still got to fight it. We've got to figure out what to do. She has no idea. Her grandson had been gathering parts for months to build a bomb. I still contend, ladies and gentlemen, I still contend that this is an op. It's the only thing that makes sense. The more you study Matthew Thomas Crooks, Tyler Robinson, the more you study the way that these individuals get groomed by feds. All you need to do is look into the details of the Fedsurrection, but also the Gretchen Whitmer Fed napping in Michigan, where they also had like a fake bomb plot and a fake terroristic act, and they preyed on people who were terminally online, who literally lived in their mother's basements and were spectromy. These are the people they preyed on, and they entrapped those people. This sure as hell sounds more like entrapment than anything, but I guess they certainly have the individual with the backpack who had carried the backpack that day. And here you go. I mean, they're dropping all the evidence on the court. But what's the bigger picture? Who was he talking with? Who was operating him? Family saying there's no way he was a Trump supporter. Fake news idiots ran with another fake anonymous source lie that just made up right out of thin air. If this dipshit was connected to Trump or MAGA by even the most tenuous of threads, then Ray's SBI would have snatched him up 24 hours back in 2021 and paraded him in front of every TV camera in America for years as part of their feverish effort to conjure up the insurrection narrative. Here's one FBI agent. I found this very interesting. A reminder that CNN called him a white guy. That's right. So these from the same networks that said that said he was a white guy bomber. I found this very interesting. Here's a former FBI agent, Stuart Kaplan, who said that, of course, they just left all of this evidence sitting on a shelf. The case sat on a shelf and nobody worked it. They arrested every Meemaw McGurk with a knitting needle and then left this actual act of terrorism, I think we can all agree, on the shelf. Why'd they do that? Have a listen.
Why did it take so long for the Biden team to crack this case?
Obvious answer, Jesse. When the leadership at the Hoover Building during the Biden administration was preoccupied with chasing political narratives, that's why you had the delay. It was not for a lack of effort from the street agents or a lack of evidence, because quite frankly, there was really a treasure trove of evidence that was left behind. But if the street agents are told to basically stand down or dismantle because the trajectory of the 7th floor of the Hoover Building is chasing Donald Trump and all this nonsense during the Biden administration and putting January 6th individuals in jail. And by the way, the amount of effort that went into some of these cases, and Jesse, I know firsthand, I actually represented a January 6th individual, went to trial. The amount of evidence and the needle in the haystacks and the amount of resources and assets that were deployed for simple misdemeanor cases would make your head turn around 100 times till Sunday. So the bottom line is they were chasing political narratives. This case sat on a shelf. No one worked this case. Thankfully, and whether you love him or hate him, Kash Patel has got the tenaciousness that the FBI needs to put it back on track, and it is back on track to rehabilitate its reputation, to make it, not in perception, but the reality, the premier law enforcement agency, not only here in the United States, but worldwide.
Listen, I'm really happy that we have a name, that we have a suspect, that we were able to put the pieces together. But it's way more confusing than I ever thought. I thought this might have been like a pretty tight, like buttoned up, like this is an agent or an asset who's working directly with or for an intel agency. This could have been a member of the federal government or some type of operator in law enforcement. But it turns out to be this total rando. They're gonna have to answer a lot more questions. A lot more questions. Laura Trump, by the way, had a very interesting comment here saying, listen, if this was a MAGA supporter, you know damn well that they would have caught him in hours after, like they would have probably caught him the night of, right? Like it's like clearly they knew this was all happening. No, they let this case slip. Here's Laura Trump. Bring it home.
Why do you think it took this long to find out who this guy was?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it, Rachel? Here's yet another reason we can be grateful that Donald Trump is president, because I think, like so many other things, we've seen this probably would have been a cold case forever if not for this administration and this FBI and certainly this president. What we're learning is that there was really no new evidence that was presented in order to track this guy down. The same cell phone data that we all know was used to track down like grannies who were standing outside the United States Capitol on January 6th was the exact same data and information they used to track down this guy. So why, to your point, did it take 5 years for them to figure this out? I think we all know why. It's because now we have a new FBI director, we have a new president in the White House, and there's been a lot made online about this guy, saying that he believes the 2020 election was stolen or wasn't right or something to that effect. You don't need to be a Republican or a Democrat to feel that way. Any person with eyes could see there was nothing normal about that election. And if anybody for a second believes that bloodthirsty January 6th committee wouldn't have loved to get their hands on a guy who was a Trump supporter who planted pipe bombs around Washington, D.C., you are kidding yourself. But I think there's a lot more that will ultimately come out of this. I think, I can tell you as the RNC co-chair, we had to amplify security extensively at our headquarters there in D.C. After this, there are a lot of people who are finally breathing a sigh of relief that yet another bad guy is off the street. And especially we are coming to a conclusion on this case that so many of us for so long said, why don't we have any information? We got all the video, we got all the cell phone data. Thank you, FBI and Donald Trump.